Well, hello, everyone. I am so excited this evening. We get to talk with the amazing Ironman Stephanie Davis. I'm so thankful that she has availed her time with us today. And we get to hear about her incredible road to Ironman. So, Stephanie, thank you so much for joining us. As we get started, would you just tell us a little bit about who Stephanie Davis is?
Hello, everyone. My name is Stephanie. I live here in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm originally from South Carolina. I am by trade, I'm a speech language pathologist, have been a triathlete for, I guess, the last 7 or 8 years. And I have a 16-year-old son named Ryan and a 14-year-old daughter named Reagan.
Wow, that's amazing. So you work full time. You're a medical professional. You have two children. I'm sure many other hats that you wear. What in the world possessed you to set Ironman as a goal?
Oh, because I have crazy friends. So this all started back in 2013 when I did my first sprint Rambling Rose with Try It for Life. Shout out to Try It for Life. And just meeting people and getting involved just in the triathlon community and doing races, road races led to charity rides, which led to longer rides, which led to longer triathlons. And then one day, one of my friends, Jerry Massey, says, "Hey, I want to challenge you guys to do an Ironman." At this point, I had done relays for a couple of 70.3s and I had went along with them on their longer triathlons and Sherpa'd and supported and cheered for a lot of my friends along the way. So when I was challenged by Jerry is when I was like, okay, let's just see if this is possible.
Amazing.
And so it began.
So that was because I remember meeting you in it was either the end of 2018 or the beginning of 2019. So I think we were training for our first Ironman at the same time. I don't think I realized it. I think you guys were ahead of me as far as you had done 70.3s. I had, you know, and you'd been doing triathlon for a few years at that point. So, tell us a little bit about, so you were training in 2019 at, I believe, Ironman Florida, right? What happened with that?
Well, Ironman Florida ended with a DNF for several reasons. I had some injuries that kind of came back and haunted me during the race. I have a current hip injury, a torn tendon in my right hip that was causing me a lot of pain. I also have a bulging disc in my neck that was causing me a lot of issues and causing numbness in my hands, and muscle spasms and all kinds of neck and back issues. My bike wasn't fit appropriately. It was just a whole lot of things that kind of led to me having difficulty on the swim and on the bike. So after Florida, I was ready to retire. I was ready to retire, but my kids actually encouraged me to try it again.
Wow.
And that's how we got to Maryland in 2021.
What made you choose Maryland?
Actually, Maryland and Florida, those were our top two when we were trying to decide which full distance to do. And close enough to drive, and mostly the course. You have to, for those of you who haven't done triathlon, it's important to choose a triathlon based on the course and your particular strengths, weaknesses, or preferences. It's a flat bike. It's a flat run, and it is a swim. It's a river swim. I've done ocean swims, done lake swims. And because of my particular hip injury, it's best for me not to do any climbing because the pulling aggravates that area and can re-injure very quickly if I do any climbing of any strong elevation. So I needed to have a flatter bike in order to remain injury free.
Yeah. So speaking about obstacles, you spoke about some physical obstacles that you had, but bulging disc, hip, things like that. Any other obstacles that you had to overcome as you trained for Ironman?
For this one, I actually had registered for 2020 and it got canceled. So I had kind of a whole year to try to think about preparing. I actually didn't really immediately start training because we trained really up until like May when they canceled it last year. Mm-hmm. So it took some time off. And when I came back into training for 2021, I was noticing that I was very, very fatigued. I was really tired, just the least little thing, even very short workouts were making me tired. And I was just tired in general and couldn't figure out why. And I wasn't able to like successfully complete workouts because I was just so tired. So I called Bridget's office and got a nutrition consultation.
So tell us a little bit about that, because if I remember correctly, when you first came in, I didn't realize you were training for Ironman Maryland. And
I didn't tell you.
So because I'd seen you, like we hadn't really seen each other for quite a while because the pool being closed with COVID, and there was just a lot going on, and then we weren't really I guess I was post Ironman, so I wasn't really in training either. And then
our coach moved away.
And yep. And then we saw each other again at the Try It for Life kickoff. So maybe that's what spurred you to come in. And so I, as I look back at it, I'm like, oh my word, what a God, like a divine appointment, because then I found out like you were training for the race that I did. So I already had experience in it. We have some similar like nutrition backgrounds. I grew up vegan. You had been vegan for many, many years, or followed that type of nutrition just due to some health things. And so I thought that was really interesting. So that, and at that appointment, you told me, you're like, well, I have this goal, but I don't even know if I can do it or if I'm going to do it. And so by the end of that, I was like, no, like, let's do it.
You need to do it. You need to do it. And I wasn't going to because I didn't feel like I could do it with the way that my body was. Like I didn't know what was wrong. And I'm like, there's no way I'm going to finish an Ironman feeling the way that I'm feeling. I can't even get through the training. And this was pretty late into the training cycle. This was July. Yeah. And the race was September 18th.
True.
So I'd kind of like given up on being able to actually be successful.
So that was 2.5 months before race day. And which is not, when you're talking about Ironman training, where you peak at, training 20 hours a week, at a lot of times doing 100-mile bike ride, maybe a 16-mile run, pretty long swim. You're normally swimming close to 2 miles, I think. And so, so major training, and you were so fatigued. So talk to us about the shift that happened. What are some of the changes that you had to make? What did you learn about your body? And then how did your body respond?
I also want to mention that I have newly diagnosed exercise-induced asthma as well. And that was another thing that kind of scared me about doing a long distance triathlon. In May at White Lake, I actually had an asthma attack during the swim of the sprint. So that was another reason I'm like, I'm not doing an Ironman like this. There's no way. But some of the changes that we made as far as my nutrition plan, we did some very thorough labs and found that my thyroid was not as active as it needed to be, and that was causing the fatigue. And I was pretty protein malnourished, and my plant-based diet was not providing me what I needed in order to nourish me so that my thyroid was performing the way that it needed to perform. So I added back some animal protein into my diet. Also found that it was good to eliminate gluten to support the thyroid as well. So I went soy-free, gluten-free, and added in some wild fish as my protein.
And that wasn't an easy transition for you, because this was so many years of eating a certain way and then adding in foods that honestly you didn't even know if you would be able to get them into your mouth. Like you, I remember being very, very nervous, and I actually, like, I don't know, maybe Jerry influenced you more than I did, but you were just, I think you were already prepared for what I was suggesting or how I was educating you, because I did not think that you were going to do eggs, for example, because you were like, I just don't think I can stomach them. So let me ask you this, like, mentally hard to make a switch, but let's maybe go a month in. How was your body, like, how was it eating the fish, the eggs, more protein? How were you doing maybe a month in?
Really tough, because I'm very smells and textures. When you haven't had animal protein in your body in more than 13 years, it's a big transition. Like my kids are not plant-based, so they scramble eggs all the time, and I could not even stand the smell of it. So it was hard. So I tried to go towards like the most organic cage-free eggs. Like when you crack it, you really don't even have a smell to it. And I think one of the things that you told me about cooking everything well done, making sure that all the fish was well done, cook your eggs really hard, that helped. And also, I just really wanted to feel better. And at that point, I'm like, okay, so what do I have to do so that I can like get through this 80-mile bike ride? Within the first month, I was already feeling better, sleeping better, feeling more nourished, because I feel like with a plant-based diet, I was hungry all the time. I think I mentioned that to you. I was hungry all the time, eating the same things, rice, vegetables, tofu all the time. And I was feeling better because I was eating some different things and actually getting the amount of calories and protein that I wasn't receiving. So it was pretty the first like 2-3 weeks, actually, I started to feel much better.
Oh, good. Yeah, it was just amazing to see. It wasn't like the changes weren't overnight. I feel like it was like week by week. It was like a little bit better. Workouts were better, feeling better. Just also dialing in the nutrition, because it is so, when you're doing that level of training, nutrition has to be dialed in. But here, like, and this is what I would love the listeners to hear, is it's very specific person to person. And so one thing with you, and I mean, that's your purpose for being in the clinic, was you were like, I need the support for my body. Like my body is very unique. I'm sure you've always felt that about your body. Like your body is very unique, and what works for one person is not going to work for another person. And so and the other focus that we had was getting all your nutrients from whole food sources versus very often like the traditional sports nutritionists and the like traditional, like in endurance sports, you know, people are doing a lot of goos and sports drinks and sugar and you know, and I've been there, done that, and honestly, just like personally got sick from it. So, but it poses a challenge because you've got to be prepared with whole foods on you know, for your bike rides and for your runs, and you've got to be able to stomach it.
That was a big shift. Yeah, that was a big shift because in endurance, you need to have like things that are ready, convenient, easy to get in your body. You want to get pretty quick nutrition, quick energy, and it has to sustain over a really long time. And also in the meantime, your day-to-day nutrition has to be good because you're burning so many calories and you're hungry all the time. Your metabolism is very quick. And I have just a naturally high metabolism anyway. My friends will tell you all the time, I'm always hungry. Stephanie's always ready to eat. She's always planning out where we're going to eat, when are we going to eat. So to change from going off, like in Florida, for example, I did all liquid nutrition, all liquid, hammers, soy-based endurance formula. And I was using gels, goos, and little energy tabs. And all of those things had so much sugar. And in retrospect, were giving me a lot of the stomach aches and the headaches that I was experiencing back then. And the fact that I was taking in so much soy on the bike, kind of crazy, being that now I know that the soy is kind of toxic to my thyroid.
Yeah. So what were some of your favorite training foods?
Potatoes on the bike was a game changer for me. I found when I used that instead of like gels and goos and the liquid nutrition, I wasn't hungry as long. It kind of gave you the satiation. I was able to perform better. I liked having, I used almond butter, which was good because I tend to not like things that are sweet. You get really tired of the sweet sensation over hundreds of miles. You really do. So those were my favorites, was potatoes and almond butter. Lots of more water. I found that I drank more water on the bike than I did before, which I probably needed because I wasn't drinking a lot of pre-mixed endurance fluids.
Yeah, and then salt. I know you did beet juice. Maybe did you do bananas?
I did every now and then. Like maybe that would be like a half a banana would be like my breakfast on my way to a workout. I always had beet juice before any long rides or long runs. That would be the first thing I had in the morning. That and maybe a little coffee, half of a banana, but I didn't, and I still to this day don't eat a whole lot that early in the morning. Because you have to get up at 4:35 in the morning to start a ride at 6 a.m. It's very hard for me to eat solid food that time of day.
Yeah, I'm the same way. So tell us about so amazing, you know, healing, adapting to new nutrition, got your training in. So now you come to your event day, and you know, if you know people that do Ironman, it's never smooth. There are always obstacles to overcome. It's one of the appeals of Ironman. So Stephanie, would you share your Ironman experience with us?
Well, the first thing I want to share with your listeners is that what you just said is right. Every Ironman is different, and every Ironman offers a challenge outside of the 3 disciplines. And there's what you call your controllables. You can control the training that you did on the bike, on the swim, and in the run, but what you can't control is the conditions that you're going to get when you get on the course. So when I got there on Thursday, we went to do a practice swim. We were all aware that there are jellyfish in the Chesapeake Bay. That was not a new thing. We knew this well ahead of time, heard the stories about 2019, knew that there would be jellyfish in Chesapeake Bay. So the practice swim, it was something I've never experienced before, because there's pictures out there, and I'll send you some pictures if you want to add it in the video, of the density, like how many jellyfish. It's like you look in the water and it's jellyfish as far as the eye can see. When you're swimming, you're touching the jellyfish. They're in your hands, they're burned, and it's a burning sensation that is difficult to describe. But with a full sleeve wetsuit on, they find your skin. So I was on the practice swim, I got stung behind my ears, all on my neck, face, feet, hands. So I'm like, okay, it's going to be interesting. So race day, I coated myself with jellyfish repellent and Aquaphor to just kind of protect the skin, but there's no protection. They got me. So the swim was a 2.4 mile swim, and got nauseous on the swim, had nausea and vomiting after the swim, due to what I know now as reaction to the jellyfish toxin. Bike, continued to be upset stomach, took some, another key for your triathletes, Pepto-Bismol makes tablets, and you can have them on your bike, in your pockets, in your gear. It's a really good idea to have something to soothe your stomach, because you never know what type of swim you're going to have. I tend to always have that for any type of open water swim race. Took that, and that I was able to start getting some of my nutrition on board on the bike. Had a good bike ride. And the run is where I really started feeling the effects of my allergic reaction, which I didn't know until it happened. My allergic reaction to the jellyfish venom. But I struggled through the run with the help of a lot of friends and supporters, and was able to finish the race.
Wow. So just because a lot of people may not even know the distances for Ironman, like what.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So could you review the distances for everyone?
So for the swim, it is 2.4 miles. And this is in the Choptank River. So it's a brackish water, not salty, but a brackish water. So if you've ever walked a mile or run a mile, imagine swimming that same distance with 1,700 of your closest friends also in the water with you, and millions of jellyfish. But it's a choppy swim, and the bike ride is 112 miles. Some Ironmans are actually, what's Chattanooga, 116? It's a long course. So typically 112 miles. And the run is a marathon. A marathon is 26.2.
So it gives you a total of
140.6 miles.
That you have to cover.
That you have to
one day.
Cover in one day, in 17 hours. You have to cover that distance in 17 hours. So, and I would say the fourth discipline is the conditions. That's your weather, the circumstances, the roads. People crash, people fall, people get sick. It's a difficult thing to do.
Oh, I just remembered you had another obstacle to overcome. The same obstacle I had on my Ironman. Do you mind sharing that? You had some female stuff.
Oh gosh, yeah. And it didn't end up being that big of a deal. Okay. That's the thing I did. My cycle started the race was on Saturday. I think my cycle started on Thursday. Yeah. On Thursday. And I thought it was going to be a massive deal, but it was not. I took some supplements that helped me. I actually forgot that it was gonna, the 2 weeks leading up to Ironman, you're so busy packing, preparing to travel and wrapping up things so you can be out of town. So I totally forgot that my cycle was coming around, and it started on Thursday. Yeah.
So if you would like my magic formula for your period, or for the leading up to your period, to help with cramps and bring inflammation down, and especially for athletes, I feel like I'm the queen of racing on my period. I have done ultra marathons, Ironman, half Ironman. I've done it all on my period. I was the first day on my Ironman, and it was not pleasant for me. But it worked itself out. So yeah, I was thinking about the bike, and that reminded me.
Yeah, I think I had an advantage because it happened on Thursday. I had a chance to kind of that initial like crampy, uncomfortable, like sick type. I had time to kind of rest on those 2 days. So I was pretty lucky with that. So by Saturday, I had so many other things to think about, but I honestly didn't even think about it.
That's great.
But I didn't have that inflammation and the headachy, like sick feeling, because I took the some magnesium and zinc and some turmeric, and that helped a lot.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, just an FYI, this is what I told Stephanie leading up to the race, just to prepare her if it was that time of the month, is that a woman hormonally is actually most like a man on her period. And it sounds really weird, but it's because that is the low hormone phase. Your hormones drop when you're on your period. That's what makes you bleed. And so for competition, you actually have that time of the month, physically have a competitive advantage because of your hormones. So technically speaking, it is the best time to race, and I've had to mentally tell that to myself. Now, there can be other inconveniences, whether it be cramping, excessive bleeding, things like that. But technically, it is actually to our advantage to race that time of the month. A lot of people wouldn't know that. So and tell us, like, that ride. So it's 112 miles on race day was your longest ride you'd ever done.
It was my longest ride
and
I've ever done.
I mean, you're riding for over 7 hours. Like, tell us about that ride, because it's the mind, like the mental, what you have to overcome mentally. Like, I'm sure there was wind, and that like there's a lot to overcome on that ride, and then you still got to get off the bike and do a marathon. So talk a little bit about that.
It was actually the best long ride I've had. So maybe that was a part of like my menstrual cycle. It gave me a little boost, but I hadn't done 100-miler. Most Ironman plans require you to do 100 miles on the bike a couple times before. And for a lot of different reasons, heat, I had mechanical on another day. I was supposed to do 100 miles. I had an injury on another day. I was supposed to do 100 miles, and just a lot of things worked out. I didn't get to do the full 100, but I did consistently do 70 miles several times, 80 miles several times. And just that consistent training, I think, is what got me through. I did not feel like I ran out of gas at all. It is a windy course. Whenever you have a flat course, you're going to have wind. And most of the bike is through a wildlife refuge, wetlands, and the winds can shift and change. There are kind of weird winds, like not in any one direction that you dealt with. The first loop of the bike course, I felt very strong on. Second loop, 20-mile-per-hour winds that I had to fight. But it was, like I said, the best, most consistent bike ride I've ever had, very surprisingly. And because my nutrition was dialed in, I was taking on my fluids, taking on water, eating consistently. I have a timer on my computer, like every 10 minutes, I need to eat or drink something. And I took plain water off the course at the aid stations as well. So it was long, and you had to pedal the entire time and push against wind. So definitely challenging. But I feel like if I had not had my nutrition, my base of nutrition, I wouldn't have done as well.
Yeah, amazing. That is the thing with flat courses. I think everyone would assume like choosing a flat course is the easy choice, but it's not necessarily, because on a and I get it that like for your body and because of that injury, like you needed the flat course, but you had, just like you said, you got to pedal all the time versus when you're in a roll. Like I actually, for running and cycling, I love the rolling hill courses. They might be the easiest because you're switching it up with your muscles, and you're you're getting you're getting the downhills and so forth. But yeah, that is the one thing. 112 miles and your legs do not stop.
They don't stop.
Yeah.
I think coastal races, I tend to like coastal races because I like the water, I like the beach, and that tends to be a good choice for me. But coastal races can be the most challenging because of the conditions on an ocean or a bay type swim. It's unpredictable. Every coastal race I've ever done, the water's been choppy, every single one, either waves or chop. And the flatness of the bike course and the run course can be challenging on your legs, pounding on your legs.
Definitely. And so last thing about your race, let's just take like an hour or 2 hours. Let's just take 2 hours before your finish time. It's dark. The clock is running. The clock is running out. I'm sure you're around people that are struggling, possibly complaining, or maybe maybe the energy is just like, let's get this done. Let's do, very, very encouraging. But there's definitely like a tension in the air, because once again, the clock is running out. So talk to us about how you felt and what helped you get to the end and say, you know what, I'm crossing that finish line no matter what. Like, it's now or never, it's do or die. I'm going to be called an Ironman today.
Well, the last part of that marathon, I will tell you, a lot of it I don't remember, because again, the jellyfish toxin, it has a lot of different side effects and confusion, and kind of like I had dizziness, really kind of fuzzy headed towards the end. It's a 3-loop course. Each loop is about 8+ miles. So I started having, and we talked about this the other day, muscle spasms in my quads and my calves. So basically my muscles just kind of locked up, which I thought was a cramp. Wasn't a cramp. Body was just kind of shutting down. And it's dark. You know that the clock is ticking. There are people that are having to be pulled off the course for sickness. People are passing out. People are vomiting. Keep in mind, all of the 1,800 people in this course also were exposed to jellyfish, and a lot of them are having strange symptoms. People are getting sick left and right. And you have to kind of understand that it seems like you're never going to get there. The last 10 miles seemed like it was never going to end, because I didn't feel like I was moving. I felt like I was just in peanut butter. Like I was just barely moving. My friends were there and they were pushing me and just saying, run to the next cone, run to the next mailbox, try to pick up your feet and keep moving. Because at a certain point, your mind is going to tell you, you could just stop. You could just stop and it'd be over. The suffering would be over. The day would be over. You're probably not going to make it anyway. I could have called an Uber to come pick me up. There were a lot of thoughts. You have all these thoughts in your head, like, there's no way. Why am I doing this? There's no way I'm going to make it in time. I might as well just call it now. But I had some friends, and not just the friends that were on the course with me, but the friends that I knew were supporting me and tracking me, family at home, that I had their voices in my head as well. Just finish, just get there, just keep going as far as you can go. If you come off the course, make them have to pull you off the course. So that's really what pushed me to continue forward. And I knew that the time was running out, but when I had the opportunity to cross the finish line, I took it. And I'm really glad that I made that decision.
That's the best decision. That's the best decision ever. I was so proud of you for that. And it honestly, I mean, it takes more mental tenacity. Like, you've got to overcome so much more in that scenario. So well done. So was it emotional crossing the finish line?
It was, it's still a lot of it. I just don't remember everything. And I was really kind of dizzy and confused. But I do remember the moment of them calling my name and saying I'm an Ironman. And at the same time, I had been collapsing, the past couple of hours on the course. My legs would just go out from under me. So they brought me into the medical tent to get electrolytes, and I was dehydrated and that type of thing. But I do remember being very emotional, not believing that I had done it, and just grateful and thankful that I was able to push through and that I had all the support that I had to get me there.
Wow. Amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing your story. And if someone's listening and because I'm sure you've been just inspired, it's like so many people, if someone's listening and they're, maybe they've done a Rambling Rose or a sprint triathlon, or they've done a marathon or something, and they may be thinking, I think I need a big goal. I think I want to do an Ironman. What would, if you were to share like a couple of pieces of advice with them, what would that be?
I would say that if I can do it, you can do it. I'm a non-athlete. I was not an athlete in high school or college. I didn't run. I didn't swim. I didn't get back on a bike until in my 30s. And I learned I could swim. I was comfortable in the water, but I couldn't like swim laps. So one of the reasons I did Rambling Rose was because I wanted to learn how to swim and actually swim well, because I'd see all the people at the pool just doing these laps and it looked so awesome. So if I can do this with as little experience, but a lot of tenacity, then you can do it. Ironman is a transformative journey because it's really more about getting there than the actual race. Because on race day, you can just enjoy the day and enjoy the work that you've put in, but it's about forming relationships, getting training partners and friends, and meeting people who are after the same goal. And it shows you really what's possible. And if you believe in a higher power, then absolutely that's what will get you through this journey. That's what will get you through there. You have to believe in yourself and understand that anything is possible. That's kind of their motto of Ironman, but a full distance triathlon is really a goal that you would be extra proud of achieving in your life, because very few people have done it.
Yeah.
So go for it. I would say go for it.
Yes. I know. I love the journey. I love the training. And you really learn about yourself. And you do, I mean, from my experience as well, like, you rely on God more. And for me, it's always an opportunity to glorify my God and to, I felt like, and I think this is for everyone, like, you get to a point where physically, it doesn't make sense that you can finish. There has to
right.
be something else driving you. And I was at a point.
I still don't know how that happened. I still don't. I don't know how that happened, and it wasn't me. It wasn't me.
Yeah.
It was the grace of God that got me there.
Yeah. I would concur. Well, amazing. Well, I will be posting this video on YouTube as well as on Facebook. So we would love to see your comments, any questions that you may have, and I will just say that if anyone has this goal, just like Stephanie said, anything is possible. Believe in yourself, and just have courage to take the journey. So Stephanie, thank you for sharing. All the best to you with all.
Wanted to show you guys my,
yes,
if it'll come in this. There it is.
There we go.
Ironman Maryland 2021 happened.
Amazing. Well, display that with pride. I know some people get a frame for it. I just have a metal rack, and yeah, so it's funny, my most prized medal is like my smallest. It's like this big. It's like my smallest medal from conference. So good. And so we're 2 weeks? We're 2 weeks post race, and I think you said finally you feel you feel like you've gone through the recovery. It's that recovery is definitely 1 to 2 weeks, very typical on that. So so wonderful, Stephanie. All the best to you in your future endeavors, and for the rest of your life you will be an Ironman. No one will ever be able to take that away from you.